我们要不要准备开始了？
就是他在调那个
OK，
对，没问题。
大家都有 handout 了吗？
好像是，那张纸应该就是吧。
周斌，大家都有 handout 了吗？哦，OK。
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Caring for the Mind workshop. We're really honored to be here today using the Brighton Boston Public Library. Also having funds and support from Boston Urban Forum. And I would like to recognize two amazing people behind the whole organization making this possible. First, we have Gary Yu. And second, we have Yi Zhang. Yi Zhang is a co-founder of the Boston Urban Forum, also professor from the Northeastern University. So thank you both so much for your wonderful support. And now I would like to invite Professor Zhang coming to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for coming, for showing your support in this wonderful event. And at the very beginning, I really would like to thank the Boston Mayor's Office and also for their generous sponsor for this event. So I myself is Professor Yi Zhang from Northeastern University in the Mechanical Engineering Department. And give you a brief introduction or background about the whole event. So today's event is co-hosted by several major community organizations. The Boston Urban Forum is one of them. We also have the NACA, New England Chinese American Alliance, UCA, the United Chinese American Massachusetts chapter, and APAPA, APAPA, Boston chapter. APAPA stands for Asian Pacific Islander Public Affairs Association, and headquartered in California. And Boston Urban Forum was founded last year. Boston Urban Forum was co-founded by Mr. Gary Yu and me myself. So Mr. Gary Yu, Gary is also the vice chair of the Massachusetts AAPA Commission, and he also the president of NACA, the New England Chinese American Alliance, and also is the president of RTV. And then me, I'm a professor, and also I'm a founder of a startup company named Plug Energies. We are commercializing the sustainable technologies for the community. So for this event, I want to mention one thing. So today's event is financially sponsored by APAPA Boston chapter and the Boston Urban Forum. Particularly, we would like to thank the Boston Mayor's Office of Community Safety, through the Boston Mayor's Community Fund. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this wonderful event. Thanks.
And now I would like to introduce the two guest speakers we have today. One of them is Si Yi. Si Yi is the school psychologist at the Pioneer Valley Chinese Immersion School. And next we have Ye Na. Ye Na is PhD, currently studying a lot of things about psychologies and focusing mostly on NSSI and research. So we're really humbled to have them today. So thank you for being part of this. Let's get started.
Thank you, Rongbing. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Caring for the Mind workshop. Can you hear me clearly? Yes? Okay, if you want me to be louder, just let me know. All right? So thank you for committing the time to come here and taking 2.5 hours to trying to take care of yourself and people around you. So before that, I'll give you a brief introduction of our team. So my name is Si Yi. I'm the school psychologist, and I currently working in a K-12 Chinese immersion charter school in Amherst. which is in the Western Mass. As a school psychologist, I work with families, students, and teachers to support students' academic, social, emotional, and behavior well-being. And in my personal time, I'm a stay-home person, so I like to stay at home doing all sorts of things like play video games or watch movies. And I also like to stay in the nature, even though I'm super scared of bugs. But yes, so that's a brief introduction of me, and I'll turn over to Yana.
Hi everyone, my name is Yana. I'm a fifth-year PhD student at Fordham for school psychology. I am doing my internship this year at the neuropsychological assessment clinic in Brighton, actually. I do cognitive assessment with children and like make diagnosis for like ADHD and autism and those kind of things. And in my personal time, I have a wide range of interests. I play tennis, I play the piano, I have a band, I play the bass. And a typical night after coming back from work, I put on a TV show and I crochet. So that's some of my interests outside of my work.
Yay. All right, so it's time to check in with y'all. So on a rubber duck 1 to 9 scale, so how are you feeling right now? And while you are thinking of the numbers, I also want you to think about one thing that brings you energy and one thing that drains your energy. So you can, if you want to write on the paper, you're welcome to do it. If you wanted to share out loud, absolutely, you're welcome to do that. So before you thinking about your answer, I'm going to give you mine. So I am at rubber duck 3 because I'm super excited about today's workshop. And at the meanwhile, I'm kind of nervous about public speaking, so I will try my best. And one thing that brings my energy is, actually I just had very delicious Chinese food, and that definitely brings my energy. And one thing that drains my energy is, so because I live in Amherst, so it takes about 2 hours to come here. Even though my friends drive the car, I'm pretty sure she's more tired than me, but I'm also tired because of that. So that's my answer. And would anyone wants to share yours? Which rubber duck you're at right now, and what brings your energy, and what drains your energy? Anyone wants to share? Yeah? Oops. Okay.
I don't know, I just felt like that's me today. One thing that brings me energy is the thought that I can go do something fun.
Mm-hmm.
Brings me energy.
Sounds good.
One thing that drains my energy is probably having repetitive communication with someone. Like, you just can't get the point across, and it drains my energy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else wants to share your answer? Or if you prefer to write it on paper and show it to me, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, here are some pens to write on if you want.
Anyone else?
So what's this about as our
Yeah.
parents?
Yeah, it's about mental health
Mm-hmm.
children, for everyone. And if you want to,
Yay, the same
we
as
have
me.
also some name tags. You can write your name and just put it on your shirt.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought this is the parents of children.
Yeah.
There will
Mm-hmm.
be
Yeah.
some information about parent and children, and something about like just in general what mental health is, how we can
Oh
take care
yeah,
of
yeah,
ourselves,
for sure.
how we can take
Yeah,
care of
so
other people
yeah,
around us.
tomorrow
So
is
it's
the end of
useful
daylight
for
savings,
children
so
and parents.
so make sure adjust your alarms and also get a lot of sleep. And also yesterday was Halloween, so I hope everyone that the Halloween can bring you some energy as well, or drains your energy because it can be tired. All right, so how about let's move on to the next one, okay? All right, So before I share more of the content, I hope we can set up some agreements of this workshop to make sure you have the best experience. So first and foremost, I would encourage you not using the phone during the workshop because it can just to make sure that you're fully engaged and involved in the content. And also make sure your phone are silenced so that it won't distract you or interrupt your thinking. So the first one, confidentiality. So in our workshop, there may some people wanting to share their personal stories. And while we have their personal stories, I hope we can keep those information within our workshop. And also, you're very welcome to take the insights with you, not others' personal stories. And the next one is respect all voices. So all perspectives and views are valid, and I hope we can listen with openness and also without judgment. And the next one, assume positive intent. So we all have different sorts of perspectives or views about mental health, and let's assume that we're all here to learn and to support each other. And the next one, you can pass. Sharing is always an invitation, not an obligation, so you're very much okay to say, I'll pass, okay? Don't feel guilty of not sharing, okay? All right, next one, use I statement. So when you're trying to say some of your thoughts, I hope you can start from your own experience and also avoid generalizing to other people or the community. And the next one, take care of yourself. So some of the content that we are going to discuss today can be heavy or serious. So if you feel like, okay, now I'm not really good or you need some moment to take a break, step outside, have some fresh air or drink some water. We have snacks. Just do anything that you can feel better and take care of yourself. That's very important. And the last one, but not least one, have fun and also be kind. So yes, we do talk about serious stuff, but we can also bring joy and humor and connection with you all. All right? So those are some of the agreements. Would anyone wants to add or change anything that can make you feel safe and respected in this workshop? Yes?
I noticed that you've got video taping and camera going on.
Uh-huh.
How the video taping be shared or how would you deal with it? With that? Like if we later on share personal stories and maybe something that we feel only confidentiality within the offline setting.
Yeah.
So how would you deal with that?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So I'm probably gonna head over to Rongbin to kind of discuss about this videotaping information. Yeah.
So in terms of video taping, we are taking for our records only. So if there's anything you feel like you don't want to show in public, we respect that, and let's talk about that. We'll make sure your privacy are protected. Thank you.
Yeah. Does it make sense to you? Great. Perfect. Thank you, Rongbin. All right. So are you ready to start our content today? Yeah? Okay. So for our workshop, we have 3 sections in total, and between each sections, we'll give you time to take a break. So the first section talks about mental health, and the second section talks about NSSI and suicide, and the third section talks about self-care. All right, let's try if this thing works. No, it's not working. All right. So the first section, we're going to talk about mental health. So when we talk about mental health, it can be a really wide topic. Just like this meme, so if somebody asks me if I'm okay, I would normally say okay, right? Even though sometimes we're not really okay. So we've kind of learned how to live with a very flexible definition of okay. So then, the same as mental health, what is it? What exactly is mental health and why it matters to us? Okay, so here comes the question again. So is there anyone who wants to share your thoughts about what is mental health? And I noticed some of our friends shared their thoughts on the poster. And if there's anything else that you didn't have the chance to write on the poster, do you want to share about it? Okay, well, how about I'm just going to read those answers out loud. Okay, so some of our friends saying that mental health is the ability to understand and manage one's thoughts and feelings. That's a pretty good one, right? Does it make sense to your in your head that what mental health refers to? And also some other people said something happens inside. True, very true, right? And okay, so then let's look at what is mental health. So, according to Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, they defined that mental health refers to a person's overall emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. Okay, what is it? Let's look more into it. So, emotional well-being refers to how we experience and manage our emotions. It means we are able to feel a full range of emotions, like not only happy, but also sad, anxious, all those negative feelings in a balanced and healthy way. For example, if a person have a good or positive emotional well-being, they're more able to identify how they feel, and they're more able to cope with stress or negative feelings, and they're more able to show empathy and compassion to others. And for psychological well-being, it refers to how we think about ourselves and our lives. It's more like how we can think flexibly and how we can build up a healthy or supportive coping mechanism, and also how we can have a sense of purpose. So a person with good psychological well-being tends to have a feeling that they're more capable and they're comfortable of growing, having some growth, and also they can learn and grow from the setbacks or the struggles. And the last one, social well-being. So it refers to how we connect and build relationship with others. So that means we are able to build up a positive or supportive relationship with others, build connections, and also not only about the personal relationship, but also how we engage in something bigger than us, like community or some other bigger groups. So that's how the mental health refers to, so that you know it's not only about emotion, not only about relationship, it's all of them. So when we talk about mental health, we are really talking about the whole picture. And if one area is off balanced, the other areas may be impacted as well. Okay, so now we know what is mental health. So then, okay, why it matters? Why the hell mental health matters? Is there anyone who wants to share your thoughts about why are we talking about this topic? Yes?
I think mental health matters because it's like a sustained change from our body side to
Mm-hmm.
mental side. So if our mental side is being a chaos, it will, like a string we struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll got chaos in our outer side, like our society
Yeah.
part and our working part,
Mm-hmm.
study part.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that's a very good answer. And just like I mentioned before, if one area is off balance, the other areas will most likely be impacted as well. And over here, some of the friends shared it affects daily life and the quality of life. Pretty much true. And also affects social relationship, for sure. And I'm going to show you some of the more answers. Oh, thank you. So here are 4 main areas showing that why mental health matters to us. But it doesn't mean like only these 4 areas are impacted by mental health. So the first one, physical health. So just like I mentioned before in the poster, mental health and physical health constantly influence each other. So for example, when we experience long-term stress, our body tends to release more hormone like cortisol, which may raise our blood pressure, weaken our immune system, or affect sleep. And also, when we experience symptoms like depression or anxiety, we're more likely to experience some other physical symptom like headaches or stomachache or have the tension in our muscle. And sometimes even when we experience panic attack, we'll feel like shortened breath or increased heartbeat. So all of those show that mental health can really impact our physical health. And also it works in the other way as well. People who experience more of long-term illness tends to have more or experience more risks of getting the anxiety and depression. So that is how it matters in terms of physical health. And it also impacts our brain functions. So it affects how we think, how we focus, and remember. So when we experience those long-term stress, it's more likely for us to, or it make it harder for us to pay attention, to concentrate, and to remember information. And people who experience depression tends to have more lower motivation to do things that they used to enjoy. And also, they may find meaningless of their life. And also, I actually want to invite you to think about a scenario that when you were in a very big, important test. So during that test, have you ever experienced some moment of your brain just become blank, no matter how well you prepared for the test? And that's how the mental health impacts our brain function, because we're so anxious and nervous and we cannot think clearly. So that's how it impacts our brain function. And for the next one, it impacts our relationship as well. So our mental health shapes how we connect, communicate, and care for others. So if, for example, if we are in kind of like if we are struggling with mental health, or if we're super stressed, we're more tends to, it's hard for us to express ourselves clearly. And also, it's hard for us to understand others' point of views. And also, some of them who experience mental health struggles can become withdraw from others, like not connect with others that frequently, and also be more irritable. And people with better or good mental health tends to show more understanding and patience when we connect with others. And the last one, but not least one, resilience. Does anyone know what resilience means? Yeah? I saw some nodding. So resilience means the ability that we can bounce back from those struggles. So a good mental health is the foundation that helps us to stay flexible and hopeful when life gets hard. So if we're struggling with mental health, we're more likely to have those rigid thoughts, which means like when we met some struggles, we're more tend to think, okay, nothing will ever get better again. So that's how we become more rigid. But if we have more like better or good mental health, we're more likely to say, okay, I'll just take one step at a time and step further and recover from setbacks. So this is how and why mental health mattered to us. And as you can see, it's not only one area, but when we take care of our mental health, we're taking care of all these things. And also, I want to remind you all that having good or having mental health doesn't mean like you never ever feel negative emotions ever again. It means we have the tools and support to help us recover from the setbacks and move on. So that's why we are here today. And now we have a foundation or basic understanding what mental health means. But sometimes when some people experiencing mental health struggle, when it's like long-lasting or when it's more serious and it starts to impact their day-to-day life, it indicates a presence of a mental health condition. A mental health condition refers to an illness or disorder that impact how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. So it's nothing about personal weakness. It's an illness that deserves care and support, just like diabetes or asthma. And also, the good news is recovery is absolutely possible. We shall have some hope. So now, I want you to make some guess to see how common mental health can be. So nearly 1 in how many US adults live with a mental health condition? Does anyone want to make a guess? Yeah?
1 in 5.
Okay, that's a good one. Anything else? Yeah?
1 in 7.
Okay, okay, pretty good. One more. Let's have one more answer or one more guess.
1 in 15.
Okay, all right. So now let's see. Okay, so 23% of American or US adults live with a mental health condition. The answer is, yay, 1 in 5. Okay, it's nothing about yeah, but I'm just celebrating you guessed the right answer. So nearly 1 in 5 US adults live with a mental health condition. And what about the next one? Nearly 1 in how many US adults live with a serious mental health condition, which means like major depression or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, which can make life really hard for somebody. Any guess? About nearly 1 in how many? Yeah?
1 in 15.
Okay, that's a good one. Anyone else? Yeah? What's that? 20? Okay. All right, so let's see. 6%, which is 18. So both of you get really close. So nearly 1 in 18 US adults live with a serious mental health condition. And the last one, so nearly, how about adolescents? So what do you think about how many adolescents experience a mental health condition? Any guess? No? Okay. I'll go ahead. 20%. So the same. Nearly 1 in 5 adolescents currently experience a mental health condition. Pretty common, right? So that, even baddies get saddies. So it is very common for people who experience a mental health condition. And oftentimes, people may experience more than one mental health condition at a time. And as for the length of the mental health condition, it's different for anybody. It's different for everybody. So some people may experience like a few months of experience a mental health condition, and for some other people, it can be a really long-term thing. And also the cause of a mental health condition can be really complicated. It's usually a mix of genetics or environment and life stressors. But yes, I said before, the good news is recovery is absolutely possible. So people can and do get better when they receive systematic support, like going to the therapy or getting some medication, and doing some connect with the community or doing some self-care, which we'll talk about that later today. So yes, so this is why we're going to do something about it, right? It is very common. And now, it is very common for people who experience mental health condition, but it can be very common for the people who hear those phrases, like, just get over it. That's only for crazy people, or we don't talk about these things, or you should be strong enough to handle it. So I want to ask you, if you hear or heard any of those phrases or phrases like this, either towards you or towards somebody else, or you somehow see it in somewhere, please raise your hand. Let me know you have this similar experiences before. Yeah, I saw lots of friends raise their hands. So those phrases are called mental health stigma. So for these phrases, it can come from our family, friends, or social media, or ourselves. So a mental health stigma refers to the negative thoughts, beliefs, or stereotype that people hold towards the people who experience mental health condition. And it can make people feel ashamed of themselves and be isolated from others and be more afraid of reach out for help. And it often comes from, or it often happens when the society treats mental health condition as something that we need to hide or something that we are embarrassed about. And even though nowadays there are more understandings and acceptance about the mental health condition, but there are still some individual and community holds negative thoughts about it. And also, you know, the truth is mental health is human. We all have mental health, and in some point of our life, we all need some sort of support. And if we can talk openly about mental health condition or mental health, it actually helps or it contributes to break the wall of silence. So every honest conversation can help people feel less alone and be more willing to reach out for help. So that's why I want to share with you this video, which I found is really touching, and it discuss their experiences.
Hola, disculpa por no llegar anoche. Lo siento. He estado hace tiempo con ganas de decirte algo. Últimamente estoy lidiando con mi problema de salud mental.
I think if there was no stigma around mental health, I'd be more open about what I'm going through on the inside. And I don't know, maybe I'd find that other people in my life are actually going through the same thing.
Há alguns anos, comecei a contar para outras pessoas sobre minha ansiedade. Isso me ajudou a descobrir ótimas formas de como lidar com ela.
Soy muy sociable. Creo que si hablara sobre mis problemas de la salud mental, simplemente no lo creerían. Por eso no hablo de ello.
Me preocupa que si la gente se enterara de mi salud mental, pensarán que soy débil. Por eso me aislé. Pero creo que voy a cambiar esto.
Yeah, do you like this video? Yeah? I like this video very much. Okay, so how we can do about it, how we can fight with the mental health stigma. So the most powerful thing we can do is to talk openly. When we talk openly about mental health condition without judgment, when we name it, it stops being something that is very scary or something that we need to be ashamed of. That's what we're doing right now. And also, we can consider change our language when we talk about mental health condition. So instead of saying he's bipolar, we can say he's living with bipolar disorder. Or you can say he's a person who experienced bipolar disorder. So that remind us and also remind people that mental health condition does not define our person. And next one, listen without judgment. If someone reach out to you about their mental health struggles, we don't need to fix it, okay? The thing that we can do is to hear, to listen with care and without judgment. That can really means a lot to them, and that can be their first step to reach out to some professional help. And the last one, but not least one, show compassion and empathy. So compassion and empathy are contagious. So if we choose compassion over judgment, we are actually building a safer space for people who experiencing mental health condition, and they are feeling more safe to reach out and to speak up. Okay? So now I actually would like to invite you join, participate, or finishing a project with me. So my friend Yana helped me create this poster, and I hope if you had a chance and if you want to, you can share your thoughts on this poster. And also, if you don't want to write about something, you're very okay to color it, to decorate it, to add some flowers or sunshine. So when we finish this poster, I would like to post it in the library or in the school, so that we would let more people know or be aware of fighting with mental health stigma. Okay? All right, so I'll put this poster, if you don't mind, do you mind if I put it over here? Or, yeah, sorry. So I'll put it over here. If you want to, you can grab some markers we have over here, and feel free to decorating it. And I hope we can create a really beautiful poster that we can show to more people that we are in the same team to fight with mental health stigma. Okay? All right, and now, yay, it's time to take a break. So we have some snacks, drink some water, take care of yourself, get some fresh air, and we'll come back in 5 minutes. And don't forget the poster. I really want to have a really beautiful poster. Thank you. 在这里就可以。哎，但是我们这个麦要铅笔。这个麦给了。你好。不好意思。我可以把这个麦先放着，一会儿回来我再拿。谢谢。
不辣椒上面还不要再推一次啊？
你说什么？
今天那个黄西那个1万不辣椒上还要推一次吗？
不用了吧？
不是，我的意思说你要通知人家去吗？
哦，已经通知完了，通知2遍了，对。
就是我们一般不是要通知别人，不是有活动啊什么什么吗？不是已经买票的那些人。
对，因为通知过了，发过邮件了，对。
现在是多少？昨天晚上139了。
因为那儿包括很多赠票什么的，现在应该152吧左右。
包括赠票了。赠多少？我看他卖了30多是吗
？40-50张可能。喂，对，甘老师在我旁边，你有啥事儿问他吗？OK。40。那还行。
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back. Are we ready to get started again? Okay. Okay. So my name is Yana, and next we're going to be talking about some mental health conditions and ways we can support ourselves and others around us when challenges arise. So some of the topics in this section might feel extra emotionally heavy or triggering. So again, if you need to take a break, take a step outside, or just breathe, that's completely fine. take care of yourself because your well-being comes first. So we also talked about this a little bit in the first section, but when we talk about mental health, a lot of people picture it in two boxes. You either have it or you don't. But in reality, mental health works a lot more like physical health. It exists on a spectrum. Just like we all can catch a cold sometimes or can feel physically tired, we can also have a lot of emotional up and downs. Feeling sad, anxious, or overwhelmed once in a while doesn't automatically mean that we have a mental health disorder. It means that we're human. Let's take depression as an example. Having depressive symptoms like low motivation, poor appetite, or sadness can reflect our reaction to change, to a situation, or some stress. But when those feelings become more persistent, intense, and start interfering with our daily life, affecting our relationship with other people, our work, and our ability to perform basic daily functions, that's when we start to consider depressive disorder. The difference often comes down to the duration, the severity, and the impact. It's also important to remember that our tolerance for stress and emotional pain are very individual. Something that's bearable for certain people, such as an upcoming exam or a breakup, can be completely overwhelming for someone else. When we think about mental health, it doesn't mean that one person is stronger or one person is weaker. It just means that our brains, our bodies, and our past experiences all play a role in shaping how we perceive the situation. So when we talk about mental health, it's not about labeling people as sick or healthy. It's about recognizing that we all slide back and forth on the spectrum, and about that anyone at any point can need support. The goal is not to eliminate struggle, but to recognize when we're sliding toward the end of the spectrum, and to reach out early for help or for self-care. Okay, so in SSI. What is an SSI? Does anyone know what it is? Has anyone heard about it? Does anyone want to take a guess what it is? So it's completely fine if you have never heard of this before, because even for people working in the psychology field, if you don't work with this particular population or do research on this topic, you might not be familiar with this acronym. So NSSI is non-suicidal self-injury. Okay. Okay. So now you know what it is. What do you think it is? You don't need to raise your hand or share anything out loud, but just reflect a little bit in your mind. Have you ever encountered anyone with NSSI behaviors in your life? So non-suicidal self-injury, or NSSI, is the direct and deliberate destruction of one's own body tissue without the intent to die. People who self-injure are not trying to end their lives. Instead, these behaviors often serve as a way to cope with overwhelming emotions, to feel something when they feel numb, or to communicate or express distress that they cannot put into words. These can include behaviors like cutting, hitting or punching oneself, burning, scratching, or other forms of self-harm that are usually not accepted socially. It's often an act that brings short-term relief but does not address the underlying psychological distress. NSSI most often emerges in adolescence, and while for some people it decreases with time, for others it can persist into adulthood especially if those underlying emotional distress were not addressed. Around the world, about 4 to 6% of the adult population have engaged in NSSI behaviors. In the US, about 17% of adolescents, 13% of young adults, and 5% of other adults report engaging in self-harming behaviors. Certain groups are at higher risk, including ethnic minorities, people who are discriminated, or those marginalized groups. Research has also found that females are more likely to engage in self-harming behaviors. NSSI is not an isolated issue. It often co-occurs with other mental health issues. For example, there is a strong link between NSSI and depression, where self-harming behaviors are often used as a coping mechanism for depressive symptoms. Furthermore, NSSI is also significantly associated with anxiety disorders, post-traumatic stress disorders or PTSD, eating disorders, substance abuse, and a range of other psychiatric conditions. One of the most alarming aspects of NSSI is its close relationship with future suicidal behaviors. Studies have shown that the behavior of self-injury can be as predictive as previous suicide attempts for future suicide attempts. Individuals who engage in self-harming behaviors are found to have a much higher suicide rate in the future. Individuals who engage in NSSI also report a lower life satisfaction, poor physical health, problematic social relationships, problematic internet use, and sleep disturbance. So risk factors are things that increase the chances of someone engaging in NSSI behaviors. Research has consistently shown that adverse childhood experiences, including abuse, neglect, maltreatment, deprivation, or witnessing violence, can be important early risk factors for NSSI. In particular, emotional abuse appear to have the strongest direct link to NSSI behaviors in adolescents. Family environment also plays a role. Studies have found that individuals from single-parent family or those have siblings have a higher likelihood of developing self-harming behaviors. Beyond family, the social environment can also influence risk. For example, being bullied or being exposed to peers who are engaging in NSSI behaviors can make an individual more likely to develop similar behaviors. On the other hand, protective factors are things that can lower the chances of one engaging in NSSI behaviors. Having support from family, friends, or the community can strongly protect individuals from engaging in NSSI. These supports act as a strong buffer for the negative effects of previous difficult experiences, and at the same time, they give the individual strength to handle current stressors. Having a reason for living, religion, knowledge about mental health, as well as access to care can decrease the likelihood of engaging in NSSI. Personal qualities such as self-compassion and self-esteem can lower the risk of an individual engaging in NSSI. Individuals who are kind and understanding towards themselves are less likely to develop these behaviors. Gender also plays a role here, as boys tend to show more self-compassion toward themselves than girls. So when we are supporting individuals who are self-harming, it is important to approach the situation with care and thoughtfulness. Here are some key do's and don'ts. We will go over the do's first. Your reaction matters. Show that you care about them as an individual. Ask about their feelings and let them know that you're there for them. Remember, they're more than their self-harming behaviors. Suggest talking to a counselor, a trusted school personnel, or a doctor, and offer to accompany them if they feel scared or nervous. Validate and listen. Let them know that their emotions are understandable and it is totally okay to feel the way they feel. And moving on to the don'ts. Never make promises of secrecy for NSSI behaviors. Depending on your role and relationship with the individual, you might need to involve other people to make that person safe. Expressing shock or anger can make individuals withdraw and think that they should never reach out for support again. Saying things like, "Why would you do this?" or "What's wrong with you?" can increase guilt and isolation. Remember, we all have different perceptions of situations, and we all experience things differently. By staying calm, listening, and connecting people to professional help, you can help them feel heard, supported, and safer. So let's do a short practice. Here are some situations that could happen in life. I want you to first brainstorm by yourself. You can write down on your handout or just think about it in your head about what you can say to these individuals to gather more information or to offer support. When you're ready, turn to the people next to you, behind you, in front of you, however you may feel comfortable, and share. There are some sample languages on your handout that you can use as a guide. And I will give you about 4 or 5 minutes or so. anyone like to share some of their thoughts or what they would say in those situations? Yeah?
I think situation number one, the two questions for me. First one would be why, and the second one would be how do I help you?
Nice, nice, nice. So understanding the reason behind their actions and also offering help. Just wanted to also talk about this a little bit. So sometimes when we're using why statement, it can feel a little bit like we're blaming the person. So when you want to ask, for example, like, why are you doing this? You can rephrase it into what happened, or like what makes you want to do this? Like it sounds a little bit less sharp, but great question. And yes, great job. Anyone else? Yes.
I actually have a question for this question. So when someone said, how may I help you? The listener, the one who is in this situation one trying to working on themselves, sometimes, like based on my experience, sometimes they would feel shameful when being asked if other people can help them because they would automatically put themselves in a like more awkward position, like I'm not that good, like other people are trying to they would interpret help into save me. So in that shamefulness, that person might withdraw. So if that was the situation, what would your advice to be? How can we
Yeah.
still help the other person while not mentioning, not triggering that shamefulness?
Of course. So I just want to make sure that I understand your question correctly. What you're saying is when we ask those questions and when we want to offer help to the individual who is experiencing self-harming behaviors, they might think that they're causing trouble to other people and they might think that they're not good enough. And in these situations, how we can still help them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why reducing mental health stigma is very important, because that's an example of that person having stigmatized thoughts towards themselves. So first of all, validating, telling them this is completely normal, like this is nothing strange, you're not crazy, you're not a crazy person. Validating them and also letting them know that this is not something special in a sense is very important. And sometimes just being there and asking them to do some activities with you, spending time with them is good enough. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anyone else want to share or have any questions about NSSI? Yeah.
I was just thinking of a way to approach the situation too.
Mm-hmm.
I might start with asking like, are you moving? Right? It's just like you start off not assuming that they're, and they probably will say like, well, I'm not moving, but then I'll be like, oh well, then I won't like, I don't think I'll chase for an answer in that scenario. I'll probably turn to asking them about stories about the belongings, like, oh, where did you get this teddy bear? How old did you got it from? And like trigger them to think about some memories tied to these things, memories tied to others and to this world. Will help them think that there's a lot of people and things that they care about.
Yeah, great point. Great point about not assuming, because there are a lot of reasons why people gives away personal items. It can be a lot of reasons behind that. And yeah, distraction could be a great strategy to use, and also just you asking them and you being there for them is very important. Great job. Okay. Any questions before we move on to the next part? Yeah.
Just one last question related to what you said. It seemed to me that pride is so
that is one of the hardest thing we are facing in the field of mental health, because we can never force someone to get treatment or get help if they don't want to. I personally, when I'm in those situations, I try to first build rapport. So like talking about getting to know them better, talking about other things, and building that trust before going into like something that's too deep. But when you're looking at like the data, a lot of we'll also talk about this a little bit later, but a lot of male individuals, they don't receive mental health care or support because they don't want to reach out for help, because they think it's a sign of weakness, and they don't want others to look down on them in a way. And I think that's also part of the stigma that we need to break. So we still have a long road to go, but that's definitely a good point. That's why mental health education is important. Okay, moving on. Suicide. How many of you are scared of this word? Again, you don't need to share if you don't feel comfortable. Just think about this in your head. Have anyone talked about this word with your friend or people around you in a serious manner? A couple? Okay. What does this word mean to you? So I know that the word suicide can bring up a lot of discomfort, fear, or uncertainty. Many of us were never taught how to talk about it. So it often comes down to, it often becomes something that we avoid altogether. It is completely understandable to feel uneasy when this topic comes up. And today I would like to invite all of us to take a gentle step out of our comfort zone and have some conversations about suicide. The goal is not to have all of the answers, but to create a space where we can listen, learn, and know how to better support ourselves and others around us. Talking about suicide does not cause harm. Silence does. And being willing to have this conversation is a powerful act of care and courage. So again, the differences between NSSI and suicide is that NSSI occurs when someone hurts themselves as a way to cope with strong emotions or to communicate distress. In contrast, suicide attempts are actions taken with the goal of ending life. Suicidal behaviors exist on a continuum. Suicidal ideation is when someone is thinking about or planning suicide. Suicidal intent is when someone has a desire or plan to act on those thoughts. A suicide attempt is when someone engages in self-injurious behavior with at least some intent to die. Suicide is a serious public health issue. It is the second leading cause of death among 10-year-olds to 34-year-olds in the United States. Certain factors can increase the risk. For example, rates of suicide are higher in rural areas, often due to isolation, access to firearms, and limited mental health resources. Suicide affects people of all ages, but the pattern differs depending on the age group, gender, and some other factors. So, suicide rates have been increasing for the past 2 decades for youth and young adults. For middle-aged adults, they have the highest total number of suicides. For older adults, while the total number is lower, they have the highest rate per capita, often due to feeling isolated from the rest of the world, chronic or severe mental or physical health issues, or loss of loved ones. In Western societies, men die by suicide nearly 4 times more than women, often due to using more lethal methods such as firearms. And women makes about 3 more suicide attempts than men. LGBTQ plus youth are at significantly higher risk, particularly when they experience rejection, bullying, or lack of affirming support. So here is a thought that I really like. Suicide is not about wanting to die as much as wanting to end the endurable pain. And that pain can often be reduced through connection and support. Most people who experience suicidal thoughts do not die by suicide, especially when they receive support and treatment. So when someone is thinking about suicide, they might exhibit verbal or behavioral warning signs. And being able to recognize these signs is important for us to provide our support. Verbal signs can be sometimes direct and sometimes in more subtle ways. You might hear someone say things like, "I want to die," "I'm going to end it," or "I don't want to be here anymore." Other times, the signs are indirect. A person may say, "I can't do this anymore. You'd be better off without me," or "Soon this will be all over." There could be expressions of hopelessness, like nothing will ever get better, or feelings of being a burden to others around them. Another warning sign can be someone suddenly thanking people for everything they've done, or reaching out to say farewell. In addition to verbal signs, there are also behavior warning signs that someone may be thinking about suicide. These signs can appear gradually or suddenly become noticeable. One key sign is withdrawing from friends, family, school, or favorite activities. Another warning sign is giving away a cherished item or seeking someone to adopt their pets. You might also notice increased use of alcohol or drugs, or a rise in aggression and reckless behaviors such as dangerous driving or self-harm that becomes more severe. Searching for means could include looking up information about suicide methods, trying to access firearms, collecting pills. Finally, one sign that's often misunderstood is a sudden sense of calm or relief after a long time of sadness or agitation. This may not mean that the person is better. It might mean that they've made a decision to act. There are also some situational or contextual factors that can increase the risk of suicide. Recent loss can be particularly impactful. This could be the death of a loved one, a breakup, losing a job, being expelled from school. Major life transitions or stressors, such as moving to a new city, dealing with legal problems or financial hardships, can also increase risk. A history of trauma or abuse, or ongoing medical pain or illness can make coping more difficult. As we discussed before, a previous suicide attempt or history of self-harm is one of the strongest predictors of future risk. Other important risk factors include isolation or lack of support, especially for someone in a new environment. Also, we need to consider stigma or barriers to care. These might involve cultural or immigration-related stigma, or simply not having access to mental health services. So, if you suspect someone may be thinking about suicide, there are some important things you can do. First, use direct language. It is okay to ask, "Are you thinking about ending your life?" Clear, direct questions show that you care and are willing to listen. Second, listen with empathy. Let the individual share without judgment and acknowledge the courage they have to speak up. You might say, "Thank you for telling me. I want to understand what you're going through." Third, stay with the person or make sure they are not left alone if there is immediate risk. Having someone nearby can be life-saving. Fourth, remove means of harm if possible, or have the family member or staff member to help you do it. This could include securing medication, locking away firearms, or safely storing sharp objects. Fifth, connect them to urgent help. This could be an on-site mental health professional, or a doctor, or local emergency services. You could say, "Let's call the crisis line together right now." Finally, check in later. Suicidal thoughts don't always disappear after one conversation. Continue to show care and support and help them stay connected to ongoing mental health resources. There are also a few important things to avoid, because even with good intentions, certain reactions can make the person feel more isolated or ashamed. You might find some of these similar with the ones we talked for NSSI behaviors. So first, like what we discussed before, don't be shocked or judgmental. Try not to scold, panic, or minimize what they're feeling. Saying things like "you'll get over it" or don't talk like that" can shut down the conversation and make individuals feel less likely to reach out again. Second, don't argue if this is what they should be feeling. This is not a debate. This is a time to listen and support. Third, never promise to keep suicidal thoughts a secret if someone is in danger. You can say, "I care about you too much to keep this to myself. I need to get you some help." Fourth, avoid saying things like, "You have so much to live for," or "think about your family." While meant to comfort, these statements can feel dismissive, as if you're not hearing how much pain they're in. And finally, don't leave someone alone if they're at immediate risk, if you feel awkward or don't know what to do. Do some activities with them or find someone else who can stay with them until professional help arrives. So here is a case that I would like to read to everyone. I want you to try to identify some warning signs you see for this young man. Joshua is a 22-year-old male, a recent graduate from a much-respected college and an active member on several campus initiatives. His sister and father brought him in after they found him with a large quantity of medication. He has confided to his sister that he does not want to see his 23rd birthday. Josh has been withdrawing from family and friends and showing increasing signs of negative moods. Most people know him as a vibrant man, committed, sustainable community builder, and the head of a campus group that started and developed an organic garden that now provides the bulk of the vegetables for the campus. To his sister and a couple of closest friends, he gives a glimpse of another side. Someone who never feels he can do enough, is hopeless about the state of the world, and feels burdened by life. He has been treated for depression in the past, as has several other immediate family members. His artwork and his writing reflect a brooding and dark mood and a preoccupation with death. He struggles with taking antidepressant medication and has sought for some time to manage his illness with exercise, diet, and herbal supplements. He avoids drugs and uses very little alcohol by all reports. Today, he is hostile and uncooperative and states that he has no intention of dying today. He refuses to answer most questions and says that the group has no reason or right to keep him. He will be just fine if people leave him alone. His family members want to respect his wishes, but fear that he wants to go away and die. Okay, take a couple minutes to identify the warning signs. Okay, what are some warning signs you see for this young man? Would anyone like to share? Yeah?
So he doesn't want to see his 23rd birthday, and he has been through depression in the past, meaning that probably there were some, or maybe still some issues in his life that is causing some pain like inside him that makes him to express that 23rd birthday is not something that he wants to see. And also he feels burdened by life and doesn't feel hopeful for the future of tomorrow. So those are some signs that I see.
Yeah, great job, great job. Anyone else? Yeah? Mhm. His artwork and writing? What was the last one you said? Mhm. Yeah, awesome. Great job. What else? Yeah?
I'm not sure about this one, but he says that he wanted to be left alone and be just fine. Is that like disconnecting from others?
Yeah, him wanting to isolate himself. Yeah, that's definitely a sign. Okay. So on this slide, the bolded parts are the warning signs for Josh. Take a look and see if there are any surprising warning signs that you did not notice. And now I would like you to brainstorm first by yourself a little bit about how we can approach or support Josh as his friend. You can write down some notes, and when you're ready, have some discussions with people around you. How might you approach Josh as a friend? Great, great. So trying to get more information and listen to his story, his perspectives before making any decisions or with your actions or other things. That's a great idea. Good job. Anything else? Yeah? Awesome. So first of all, understanding if he is saying that he wants to die as a statement to express his how he's feeling, or if he really means that he has a plan, wants to act on it, and those risks. And also, it's a great idea to offer more ways than language to communicate and let them choose the way they want to express. Great job. Yep.
I think for me, the single thing that stands out the most is focus about the state of the world. I think what they could do is to actually ask him what are his complaints about humanity, about life, about the world.
Yeah. So having these like deeper conversations with him, listen to his opinions, and trying to understand his thoughts a little bit more, and understanding what's influencing his emotions. Great job.
I think a lot of times people that would be in this state of mind are here out of protest.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Yes?
I'll simply pretty straightforwardly show to him that you are enough, you are allowed, and I really value. I'm really happy and honored to have a friend like you. You have great values. My life has gotten better to be your friend since having you a friend. Because I mentioned that he feels like he's never enough. I feel like just simple affirmation that you are very valuable is a good simple step.
Yeah, awesome. So letting him know that he is already making an impact on you as a friend, and he's bringing you a lot of things that he might not notice. Okay, great job. Okay, next question. What do we think of Joshua? Do you think if he can recover with professional help? Yeah? I see some nodding. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the concept of recovery in mental health. This word can mean different things for different people. Would anyone like to share what recovery means for them? Yeah? Oh, sorry. You and then you.
So recovery for me means to step out of the old thinking pattern and to look at things that I used to look at with only one way. Right now, to look at them with multiple possible explanations and find the one that suits the current situation well, rather than only based on past experience.
Okay, that's awesome. Great job. What about you?
I think for me, like recover is like I realized the whole pattern. For example, my value and my part of my actions are not really I need to change this kind of pattern to find a new way to help me to
important. So it's very interesting that both of you who shared your definition of recovery sounds more like a process. And in mental health, recovery is not usually as linear as what we would see in physical health. And there might never be a point when someone feels completely symptom-free, because things do come up in life. Some people might think, why am I still feeling these negative emotions? Why am I still not cured completely? So personally, I like to think about recovery as learning to coexist with our existing mental struggles. For example, learning to thrive with depression or depressive symptoms. And also, our definitions for recovery can be a work in progress. It doesn't need to have like a set definition. It might change based on which stage we are in our lives, and that's completely okay. I just want everyone to keep this in mind as we live in a very uncertain, or a world with a lot of uncertainties, both politically and also just in general. Take it easy on everyone around you, and most importantly, on yourself. So here are some resources for mental crisis. These are also on your handouts, so don't worry about copying them down. Feel free to share this with people around you, your family, or your friends. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. That was a lot. Now we would like to offer a 10-minute break for you to stretch, to relax, to talk to each other. Come up and talk to us if you have any questions, and we will resume our last part of the workshop on self-care after the break.等一下，我要给你这个，等一下，然后我忘了。
we are ready to go back to go back to this workshop, and we're going to move on to the third section, self-care. I hope you like this cutie dog. All right. So, before I move on to the content, I would like to invite you join me to do a visualization practice to bring your attention back to the present and also our workshop. Okay. All right. So I invite you to gently close your eyes or simply soften your gaze. Picture a place that you feel peaceful, maybe a beach, a quiet forest, or even your favorite chair at home. Now, slowly move through your senses. Notice 5 things you can see in that place. Four things you can feel. Three things you can hear. And 2 things you can smell. And 1 thing you can taste. Take a slow breath in through your nose and breath out through your mouth. Okay? You're grounded, you're calm, you're ready to continue. When you're ready, please open your eyes. Now, we're grounded ourselves, and let's move on to the content. Okay. So we're going to talk about self-care. And what is self-care? So self-care means we do things intentionally to take care of ourselves, to help us live well, both mentally and physically. And it can help us to manage our stress, lower the risk of getting illness, and also help us to increase our energy. And it doesn't need to be big or expensive. Even small actions every day can make a big impact, like taking deep breath between the meetings, or take a walk, or sip a cup of water. So those things can help to build resilience over time. And also remember, self-care is nothing related to selfish. It's more about how we can do things to help us stay balanced and well enough to take care of ourselves and others. And now let's actually clear a few myths about self-care. So a lot of people may think self-care means like escaping from the responsibilities, or feel ashamed of taking care of themselves, like thinking it's a waste of time. But actually, self-care is acts of maintenance. It's about we add fuel to our car before the tank was empty, and also charge our phone when it has 20% of battery instead of 1% of battery. And you may know that if you charge a phone when it only has 1% of battery, it can actually damage your phone. So the same as our human being body. So it's not only about something you do after you burn out, but it also means taking breaks
before you reach the exhaustion. So it's a meaningful way for us to do some prevention, not an emergency repair. And also, self-care, it doesn't need to be luxury. It doesn't need a lot of time. It doesn't need a lot of money. Well, even though we all need some spa day or go shopping sometimes, but it is about doing small things that help you feel grounded, feel safe. It can be something like getting enough sleep, or going to do some exercise, or getting enough nutrition and hydration. And sometimes binge eating unhealthy food or binge watching favorite TVs can feel really good. Trust me, I do that too. But self-care has nothing to do with damage your body. It's about restoring your body, like getting enough sleep, get enough water or exercise. So the true self-care soothes you in the long run and not just in the moment. So that we know what self-care really is. And now let's think about, okay, what self-care is like, what do we have for self-care, and what can I do about it? So there are different areas of self-care, but there are not only these 5 areas. It's just a lot of things related to those areas. And do you feel, is this familiar to you of those words? Those are what we talked about in the mental health section. So that means when we take care of ourselves, we're actually taking care of our body, our mental health, and different components of mental health, and many more. So for the physical one, when I talk about physical self-care, it means we take care of our body, and which is the foundation of everything else. So it can be included in something like, it's again, like getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, which is very important, and getting nutrition, and also get exercise. So when our body is taken care of, our mind can be clear and our emotions can be more stable. So this is the physical self-care. And for the emotional self-care, it is how we express, experience, and manage our emotions. So a person who wants to take care of their emotions can do something like journaling, talking to someone you trust, or even cry when you need to, and also practice some self-compassion, which we'll reintroduce later. And when you take care of your emotions, you're giving yourself permission to feel the feelings, to realize that you're having those different kinds of emotions without any judgment, and also have a way to express those feelings instead of holding inside of you. And the next one, psychological self-care. So it's about how we can keep our mind healthy and protecting our thoughts. It can be something like set boundaries with others, or take a break from the screens, or doing some like challenge things or relax things in your about your mind, like reading, learning, or doing puzzles, build Legos. Those are very good ways for you to take care of your mind. And next one, social self-care. So it's about building relationship and having those supportive relationships. You can do things like reach out to some people you like, say yes to someone who lifts your spirit, or checking with someone, join some group, and also, participating in this workshop also provide you some of the social connections. You may meet someone you never knew before, talk to someone new, and those are some different ways of social self-care. And for the last one, spiritual or cultural self-care means how you nurturing your sense of meaning, purpose, or belongings. So for someone, it can be prayer, can be doing meditation, or it can be connect with the nature, spend time in the nature. Or to others, it can be connect with cultural traditions, or doing something related to art, music, or doing some community practice. So those are all different ways to help you nurturing your sense of belongings, meanings, and having those connecting to those something that's bigger than you, like your value, faith, or heritage. So those are different kinds or types of self-care. And now I would want to brainstorm. Thank you. I want us to brainstorm some of the self-care that you use that can help you recharge, so that we all both have some new ideas about self-care. So for me, personally, I would like to play video games for self-care. So I would have some kind of like set of time for me to play video games to release the stress. And also I like to do paint by numbers. It's basically like coloring, but it's having those like texture that I can touch, can help me feel relaxed. And those so do you have any other ways of taking care of yourself and want to share with us so that we can have some new ideas? Yes?
Songwriting.
Ooh, that's cool. So do you help others to learn this, or you do this on your own?
Both.
Nice.
I like processing things that are difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting because in one way it's helping me sort out problems in life, but it's also helping me relax.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be careful because sometimes I'm too emotionally invested.
Got it. It's more like a psychological self-care, right? Yes. Anyone else? Yes?
I play really loud music and sing in the shower.
Ooh. Does it feel better when you do this after?
Yes, I don't know if my roommate is feeling better.
All right, thank you. And anyone else? How you take care of yourself? How you feel? Do things make you feel relaxed? Yes.
I would say when the weather is nice, especially during summer times.
Yeah.
Running outdoor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but when it's getting cold, maybe indoor exercise. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I tried running before, but it's just too much for me. Yeah. Sorry about that. Oops, I stepped on these things. Okay, thank you for all your ideas. I think they're all very good, and also we learn from each other, like right. All right. So those are different ways of self-care, and now we know everything. Like we know the background of self-care, we know what it is and what kind of self-care we can do. Now it's time to go one step further, which means we will make those thoughts into actions. So self-care happens when we do things intentionally, not accidentally, which means we need to set goals and also make plans, and making specific small goals can help us to turn self-care into our daily routine, and making action plans can actually help us to have a signal to go and make it more feasible to do it. And I'm introducing SMART self-care goals. I know some of you may already know what a SMART goal is. It sounds like it's in a work setting that you need to make some goals for your work. But sometimes you also need to make SMART goals to take care of yourselves. So SMART goals refers to specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So when you try to make goals to yourself, try to ask those questions before you write it down. So for example, if I want to relax more, instead of saying I will try to relax more, after asking all those questions, the actually SMART goal becomes I will take a 10-minute walk during lunch break 3 times a week for the next month to reduce stress. Yes, much longer, but also we have more information about it. We know when, we know how, and we even know the duration for this goal. So this can help us to have more clear vision for the goal, and also make it more feasible to do, and we are more likely to stick to it. And I also, in the handout, I also list all those questions. So if you ever need to make a self-care goal, use these questions as a guide and to help you build a feasible and realistic self-care goals. And now, after we're setting the goal, we need to make an action plan. So for the first one, maybe let's think about what area of the self-care is. The reason is, once we know the area, it's very useful for us to have this information for the future, because if you only do the physical self-care, in the future you may also need to do some self-care in the emotional areas, so that you know that you're well-rounded to take care of yourself. And the thing you want to try, this should be your SMART goal, and when and how often, this also should be your SMART goal. But what's not in the SMART goal is what might get in the way and how I will support myself. So, life can be pretty busy, I understand, and we all may meet some or encounter some obstacles in our life. So thinking about what might get in the way can help us to kind of have some resolutions ahead of time. So that you can think of, okay, what can I do to overcome this barrier? And this can help us to, this can prevent us from giving up our whole plan. So for example, if I want to take care of my physical health, I would want to drink more water, and I want to do it every 2 hours during the work time. But I'm a forgetful person, and I might forget this kind of plan. So I said, okay, set up a reminder that can remind me to drink some water. So I actually download an app that can remind me how much, what is the time to drink water, and how many or how much water I drank. So I use that app to remind me. So remember, small, consistent actions are what makes self-care sustainable. So we want to take care of self in a long run. All right? So that is about action plan, and I also include this information in the handout. So I hope in one day you can use those handouts and the information to make a SMART goal of taking care of yourself, and also make an action plan to actually stick to taking care of yourself in different ways. All right? So the last part, I would want to introduce you some of the mini skills that you can actually do anytime in your day, and also I would encourage you to include this information in your self-care plan. So the first area is breathing and grounding. So this kind of practices can help you to calm your nervous system and also help you bring your attention back to the present. The first one is box breathing. It actually breaks the breath cycle to 4 different parts. For the first one, inhale for 4 seconds through your nose, hold it for 4 seconds, and exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds, and reset for 4 seconds. So you can do it 3 to 4 cycles, and that can help you to calm down and to regulate your breathing. So I would like to invite you to do this with me this time. Get ready. Let's take an inhale through our nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. So that is one cycle. And you can do it quicker than my version. So this is how you do the box breathing. And the second one is grounding practice, and we actually did that in the beginning of this section. So you basically name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, and 2 things you smell, and 1 thing you can taste. So that helps you to notice the things around you and feel grounded to the present. So this is the breathing and grounding exercise. And next one is quick emotional checking. It is very simple. It has 3 steps. The first step, name your emotions. So for example, I feel anxious, or I feel annoyed, sad. So I know sometimes we can have mixed feelings and it's hard for us to figure out which one I'm feeling right now. So I would recommend you to find something like this. Well, this is more like a children version, but you can find some more mature or text version of emotional wheel, or like a word list for emotions for you to pick. And also, after you name your emotions, rate it from 1 to 10. 1 is very light, 10 is very strong or very high. And when you feel your emotions are very strong or strong enough for you, probably think about taking 1 step or action to soothe yourself or to calm yourself down, like stretch or sip water, text a friend, or using our breathing and grounding exercise. And I would strongly recommend you to set up a reminder to check in with you every day. So for me, and also you can use different apps to send you reminders. So if you use iPhone, you can actually set up a time or set up a reminder in the health app, and it can help you to, so it would send notifications during certain time of the day, and you can just put in the information they ask you, and they can also track your emotions. Like you can see, okay, for the past 4 weeks, I'm feeling like good overall. And also the time of the check-in can be different. For me, I set up my timer or reminder at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's the time when I get off from the work and ready to start my own day and do something that I really like. So I would want to check in at that moment. And for someone else, they would want to check in the morning, like trying to have a fresh start for the day. So it depends on your preferences. And for the next one is self-compassion practices. It can help you to nurturing yourself with kindness, that you do it as you do it to others. You can be very kind to others, but you may not be kind enough to yourself. So this self-compassion can help you to reduce self-criticism and also build emotional resilience over time. So for the loving kindness mini meditation, I will do this with all of you in the end of our workshop. And also there are some practice like self-compassion letter. So simply think of a situation that you were hard on yourself, and write a short letter to yourself as if you were comforting a friend in the same situation. And writing can be too much for some of our friends, and I would recommend you to use this recording app in your phone, on your phone, and you can like pretending you leave a voice message to your friends. And make sure your letter includes kindness, understanding, and encouragement. So that's where you're practicing those self-compassions. And also, there are something like gratitude practice. So you would list 3 things you're grateful for right now, and you reflect how it impacts you. So those reflections can help you to notice those teeny tiny moments that can bring you energy. And next one, repeat positive affirmation. So it can be really helpful. And there are lots of different kinds of affirmations, and you can also use some apps. So for example, I do not get money from those apps, but I personally use those apps. So there's an app is named I Am. So it has has lots of daily affirmations, and if you download those kinds of apps, you can add a widget on your wallpaper or screen so that whenever you unlock your phone, you can see this kind of self-affirmation. And there are lots of other affirmation apps too. So I encourage you to explore those apps and find one that suits you best. And also, this visualization practice, we did that also in the beginning of our section. So the visualization practice we did in the beginning of the section is a combination of grounding exercise and visualization practice. Okay? All right, activity time. So now I would want to invite you to write 2 affirmations. 1 affirmation to yourself and 1 affirmation to others. So I would want you to bring the affirmation to yourself with you, and also, and when you finish the affirmation to others, I would want to invite you to put your affirmation in that cute little heart-shaped vase, actually, with this jar, so that when you leave this workshop, you can bring an affirmation from someone else. Okay? All right. Find the beautiful, beautiful card and try to write something down to encourage yourself and others.
So everybody should have 2 cards. If you're not, I'm coming around. One for yourself to take away. One for others in the room. So we're gonna do an exchange at the end.
Now it's 4:30 and we'll have 5 more minutes for the rest of the workshop.
So what cards are coming?
So I will set up a timer for 3 minutes. can still write your affirmation. So I just want to say, as we wrap up, I would want all of you make a pinky promise to yourself, trying to make some commitment to take care of your body, your mind, and your heart. You can promise to yourself doing things like, like checking with your emotions, doing some more box breathing activities, or ask for support when needed. And you can make those pinky promise in your mind. So, as we closing or wrap up our workshop today, let's take a few minutes for a loving kindness meditation. So, sit comfortably and close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a few deep breaths to center yourself. First, think of someone you care about and silently send them wishes of well-being, safety, and happiness. Now, turn your attention to yourself. Silently repeat, "May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I be happy. And may I live with ease." Reflect on one thing you're grateful for today. And notice how your body and mind feel. Slowly open your eyes when you're ready. And take this sense of calm and kindness with you toward yourself and others. Okay? Thank you for participating and joining our workshop today. And thank you for committing the time for the whole afternoon to share your thoughts and engaging in our communities and also learn stuff with us. Okay? All right, thank you. And if you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to ask us. All right, and I wish you have a great weekend. Do remember, tomorrow is the end of daylight saving. All right, do some self-care, okay? It can be pretty depressing for some of us, so yeah. course, some references. Yeah, we got those from lots of different websites and articles. They're really great. So, and also those references can also be the resources for you to look into, and they also have some other information for you to look. Okay. Thank you, guys.